Facebook is taking steps to fight fake news. The social media network is surveying account holders to rank the credibility of news outlets. I sat down with a Syracuse University iSchool professor to discuss the significance of this move. Facebook is ranking news organizations based on their credibility, and ultimately what that means for the platform is something that is still up to discussion. Here to kind of flesh it out for us is iSchool professor Patricia Rossini. Professor Rossini, thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So we want to jump right into this topic. Ultimately, what does it mean for the platform? The fact that Facebook will be letting users and user feedback kind of synthesize what news outlets, how news outlets are perceived on their platform.
Well, allowing users to rate the credibility is not necessarily a bad move. Facebook has a lot of users, and mostly their algorithms are driven by machine learning, right? So they learn from users, right?
Right.
They probably do have a credible list to start with, but they can't possibly have a comprehensive enough list to say this is good, this is bad news. The way that Facebook is doing this, though, is not necessarily clear. So a BuzzFeed reporter is circulating the survey that they have out, and it's been confirmed that that's the survey that they're using, and they're basically asking users, are you familiar with this outlet, and do you trust this outlet, right? Which it's not necessarily a bad move.
Yeah. And so when it comes to kind of understanding what they want to achieve out of this survey, what is kind of Facebook's objective in understanding kind of what their platform users sort of value?
So what I think they're trying to do with this particular survey is have a list of outlets that are flagged out as not trustworthy, and then check that list against what they also know, right? So instead of going over all the links and all the media outlets that are shared on Facebook, which is a pretty
That's a lot.
large list to go through, they're basically using their users to say, you know, this might be suspicious, this might not be suspicious. So what I assume they're doing is that they're setting a threshold that will flag what is more important. Just so similarly what they do with abuse, right? So algorithms can't really handle abuse that well, but when a user flags this is abusive content, then a human moderator can go and check that out. They could be doing a similar move, which is have their users flagging outlets that seem suspicious, and then on those outlets they're gonna work more a bit more. I don't think they're necessarily just going to delegate to users and whatever user says is true, especially because people could just decide to troll this and say the New York Times is not credible at all, and Breitbart is super, super credible.
So does this set a precedent for other social media platforms, such as a Twitter, that now has to go through and kind of understand how people value specific feeds coming out of their platform? You know, what does this ultimately mean moving beyond Facebook for social media and similar platforms?
I think for Twitter is a tad different because the meaningful interactions on Twitter are around information and about information, right? And the other thing with Twitter is that the percentage of the population that is there is not that high, so it's not that problematic. And you do have a very specialized population on Twitter. So you have politicians, you have media, journalists.
But left unchecked, you also have a lot of issues that Twitter has on its own, such as its own harassment issues, and, you know, not having as much regulation within that platform. That feed is solely determined by the news that kind of you want to receive or that you would attach yourself to. So is that something that Facebook is kind of going to shift with this move?
No, I don't think so, because the biggest difference between Twitter and Facebook is that on Twitter, your newsfeed, your tweet stream is basically everything that everyone that you share will post. And on Facebook, they have algorithms that will filter and prioritize stuff, right? So this is a big difference between these two platforms, because if you say, I want to share, I want to follow on Twitter these 5 people because I want to know everything that they post, you're good to go. If you have those same 5 people on Facebook, the likelihood that you're going to see the same content or all the content that they post is really small. You would have to prioritize them, give them a little star and say, I want to see everything that this person posts, which people are unlikely to do so.
Yeah, checking your own feed in that regard. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Professor Rossini, for speaking with us on this topic.
All right.